Don't look nervous, do they?
No, we're not nervous.
Not nervous.
We just found out we're doing a speech.
What
Well, I
speech?
feel alright now.
The good news for everybody is me and John have cut this down to 45 minutes. So, I promise, 45 minutes you're out of here. So, thanks everybody for attending today and for celebrating Paul and Jennah's wedding with us. It seems daft to say this now, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jonathan, Paul's younger and better looking brother. I'm also the brother who's least likely to fart in front of his girlfriend when he's doing push-ups. Like Paul did in front of Jennah after about 2 weeks when they first met. To say he was embarrassed at the time is an understatement.
I'm John. I'm Paul's best friend. Known each other for over 20 years now. First met at secondary school. We're in the same geography class together, and we're also in adjacent forms. And over many years, we finally let him hang around with me and some of the other cool kids in the corner over there. And after many years, I don't know how he managed it, but he managed to windle his way to be my best friend. Don't know how he did it, but well done, pal. Not only that, Paul's already mentioned it, but we met our respective wives on the very same night. So I have a bit of a strong connection there. It was some 6 years ago, 26th of March 2011.
Don't forget that day, mate.
Which ultimately ended up being the best night of their lives, weren't it?
Yeah.
Well done, ladies.
Well done. Paul was my best man at my wedding, and during his speech he made a bit of a wisecrack. Something about him being the ultimate wingman, and could he now dump the bitch? As we know, he thinks of himself as a bit of a joker, but fair play to him, he must be the ultimate wingman. He's gone and married her now, hasn't he? Fair play, Paul.
Told you not to put that in.
Damn it.
So you should have all noticed by now that obviously me and John are stood here, so Paul's chosen to have two best men. So we'll talk about the elephant in the room now, and by that I don't mean John.
Whoa, son. Bit harsh. Well, Sarah says I have a decent trunk though.
So as you all probably know, it's not customary to have two best men, but for those of you who know Paul quite well, you'll probably realise by now that he's a bit of a pussy. Thanks, Ian. And faced with a difficult decision of which of us to choose as his best men, he opted to give us both the job.
That neither
of us wanted. Yeah.
Paul and Gary, I'd like to commend you on your speeches. Me and Jonathan were, secretly hoping that'd be terrible, ultimately making our jobs that little bit easier. So, thank you very much for nothing.
Thanks for nothing.
Dot, a special thank you to your good self for doing, something that 12 blokes failed to do on the stag do, which was getting Gary to his desired destination. We, on the other hand, managed to lose Gary for about 2 hours.
Paul, you still owe us 50 quid for that day, mate. Get your hand in your pocket, lad. I think we're all in agreement, I know this has been said by Gary and Paul today, that the bridesmaids all look absolutely stunning. And I just need to point out before we say this next bit that me and John are not under any duress when we say this. We're both the bosses of our respective households. Don't laugh yet. But we say two bridesmaids in particular are looking exceptionally well today, don't we, John?
Definitely.
Pearl and Nadine? Looking sensational. Amy and Sarah, you've got a lot to do.
That'll be us two sleeping in Bath tonight.
Bath tonight, mate.
Jonathan, I think this is the part where we're meant to offer a bit of marital advice.
Yep.
So let's kick it off then. Number one, marriage is a relationship in which one person is always right. The other, the husband. Number two, if at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way your wife told you to.
My dad knows that quite well.
Yeah, he knows that. Got a tie with that, haven't you?
Beautiful.
And finally, number three, the most vital piece of advice, we need all the help of the men in the room, please. So, if you could raise your hand if you've ever been caught out lying to your respective partner.
Adrian, get both your hands up.
You're going to be crying,
Both your hands.
Get him up, mate. Stand up, Adrian.
Last night. He didn't have a cigarette.
It's not a lot of lies in him, is there?
Boys, talking rabble, aren't they? As you can see, the advice is simple, Paul. You know, don't lie. You'll be caught out as women. You know, ultimately have an inner ability to sniff out bullshit. Just do not lie.
Don't lie to him. And Jennah, before I forget, one vital piece of advice for you. Stock up on tights. Because if you haven't realised already, my brother has a bit of a nylon fetish. I believe this all stems from a childhood experience where I caught Paul in a provocative pose in my mum's tights. Paul will remember it well because he looked at me at the time and he said, "Don't tell Mum." It's safe to say she knows about it now. If anyone tonight would like to find out why Paul was, or why he felt it was necessary to wear my mum's tights, if you ask him later at the bar, I'm sure he'll partake in that story.
If you do engage with this sick animal though, if you're wearing tights, please stand at least 2 metres away, or you run the risk of him either wearing them or chomping through them.
Hey Jennah. It'd be funny if it weren't true.
Right, so let's make it a bit cleaner. Jennah, we'd like to say how beautiful you look today. You really look stunning. Additionally, I think you'd all probably agree, you know, Paul looks alright too. Maybe a few stone over his fighting weight, maybe. And missing 2 essential things that I think could further enhance his looks. So, Paul, here's a little gift from your best man.
It's facial hair or something.
Well, let's let these bad boys on fast. It's super glue that as well. Let's have a look at you. They're not coming off, mate.
I'm going to stuck it out. I'm about the only ones that have taken these off.
There's gone, mate.
Whilst on the subject though of missing essentials, we've got another gift for a special someone in the room.
Sam,
Oh no.
this one's for you, pal.
No.
You know what's coming. So for those of you who were at the stag do, I'd like to let you in on a bit of a story. And I'd like you to picture this moment as we go through it. You're standing in the airport with the lads, many of whom you've only just met. Your bag's going through the scanner when the attendant pulls you to one side to ask you that dreaded question, John. What is it?
Have you packed your own bag?
No, my nana packed it for me. Probably not the answer to give if you're trying to build some rapport with the lads. This is then followed by the attendant pulling out a gigantic sized tub of lube. One minute. 1 minute. Exhibit 1.
The pressure was on for Sam. What do you say to get yourself out of this predicament?
It's probably not. It's not what you think. I have very dry lips.
Probably not the best answer considering the enormity of the said contraband.
Yeah. 100 mil limit, pal. So, Sam, I think everyone will give you a round of applause. This one's for you, mate, to replace what you lost.
Took it well.
You did. Amazon's finest.
Don't let your nana pack your bag.
The worst part of this story, though, for me and Paul, wasn't found out until much later, when actually we realised that this heavily used large pot of lube actually belonged to my mum and dad. Dad, didn't realise you still had it in you old dog.
What, Tony?
Get up here.
On to a more serious subject. I know Gary and Paul have both mentioned it, but again, you know, we might as well reiterate as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
We want to say a massive thank you for all of you being here today. I know a number of you have travelled some distance to be here. I know it's greatly appreciated by the bride and groom.
Yeah, and another family member of mine and Paul's who can't be here, and she's only 10 minutes away, is Nana. And she's asked me to read a few words for her, so we'll do that now.
This from Nana?
Yep. Are you kidding? She's written in Maltese.
Nana.
I told her specifically I can't read Maltese, so we'll get rid of that. Mum, get her on the phone, that's ridiculous. No, in all seriousness, this is what Nana actually wanted to say to you both. So, dear Paul and Jennah, I'm sorry I can't be with you on your special day, but I'll be thinking of you both and wishing you all the very best in the world. The truth is, snooker's on at 3. And I didn't want to miss Ronnie O'Sullivan potting the brown. I don't know quite what she meant by that one. So have a lovely day and enjoy your honeymoon. Love, Nana. And on the subject of honeymoons, I hope Paul and Jennah enjoy their honeymoon next week in Wales. I assume that's where they're going anyway, as when I asked Paul what he was doing after the wedding, he said he was going to bang her for a fortnight. He said it, not me.
Well, I'm sure you're all glad to hear our speeches are coming to a conclusion. So could you all be upstanding?
Taking it one step further.
But before we toast, it only feels fitting to give you all a sound piece of drinking advice that someone once told us. That someone being Paul. And if anyone has been out drinking with him before, they'll have definitely heard this. Remember, it's a marathon.
Not a sprint. To the new Mr. and Mrs. Burns.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Brilliant. Very nice. Thank you.